Dark Shepherd here. It's been a while since I've made a video. There's a reason for that. The reason why is because, one, I kind of ran out of shit to say. I kind of finished all the topics I was going to talk about, and I was kind of just trying to put stuff out, but eventually I just got to the point where it's like there's not really much of a point at the moment. So I ended up focusing on some other stuff that was actually related to other things, with web app development and software development, and kind of got some ideas for my video game. But right now I've taken on actually a new project, and that's kind of trying to build my dream house. This is Unreal, and I spent the past couple of days researching this on how to get collision detection inside of this. So when you actually come in Unreal, if you had something like this, you just cut a hole in a box. I'm sure I'll do that in a second. You get collision detection. But if you have something like a shipping container, this actually has collision detection on it. Kind of, but no, this one's a solid object. This one has no collision detection on it because it's just an asset that was brought in. This container was actually made in Unreal, or not in Unreal, was made in Blender. So it actually has all the collision detection that's necessary for what I want. Like the actual box itself in Blender looks like this. So it's a shipping container. Okay, I've been playing in Unreal too much. See if I can actually remember how it is. And there's kind of a slight gem. There's going to be more containers. It's not just this one, but it's TV, almost like my dream desktop setup. Even though it's only got one tower, I may actually add another. There's a lot of editing for this desk. I actually had to move some of the stuff around. This is BlenderKit stuff. Just come in here and search for like desk and monitors and computers and TV. And then how I actually got that into Unreal is I put all this stuff in a collection. So the container is in the container collection. And then we just take that and you'll select everything, select objects, and you'll export as USD. So I've learned more about USD and how it works. And when we actually do that, we import it into Unreal, and it'll import into a particular folder and content drawer. And it's actually, I put it in, where is it? Prototyping. It should just be like right here. Because I put it under content. Polar Sci-Fi Man. Oh, here it is. Shipping container. So here we have the materials, which it didn't actually get them correct. Although it did get the one on the cage correct. It just didn't get the ones that are, I think it's because they're not PBR textures, but I wasn't really worried about that because I was going to retexture them inside of Unreal anyway. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But in static meshes, we have the three meshes. We have the container itself, we have the cage that I have inside just so I can weld stuff to, and then the plywood actually did not work out correctly. But that aside, once you import this, it's not going to have any collision on it. So that was the biggest thing I was worried about, because you just run right through it like it was earlier. This doesn't have any collision. So how you mess with collision is we open the asset, and inside of it we look at collision. How we do that is it's right here. So this particular box, if I show the collision it's got on, show simple collision. So it has 6 or 5 boxes I created. So I learned earlier that if I scale them all the way down to flat like planes, it doesn't work well with the collision detection. So they do need to basically have some thickness to them. And you can get, scaled the way you want, no snapping, turn snapping off up here. Otherwise it'll snap to a grid and you can't really get what you're looking for. At least I can't. The other thing that's important, you can't see hand movements, I have that part turned off, is over here, to actually make sure this works, you have to come down to collision. So over here, you have double-sided geometry. I don't know if that actually did anything. I just kind of learned this earlier, but you want collision presets, block all. That usually comes defaulted as no collision, which means that if nothing's gonna touch it, it's just gonna run right through it. So you want block all as far as your collisions are concerned. That way that it will actually just stop stuff in its tracks. You save that, and then it'll be saved into your the whole geometry and the mesh, and it's just there. Now, because I actually added the plywood in here too, the plywood has the same thing as far as its collision. I think I'm upside down. Nope, this is right. So as far as the collisions are concerned, we show simple collision, not complex collision. I learned the difference in complex collision and simple collision too. So complex collision is actually not good for your system. It overdoes it. So this is simple, so it's just got a box that takes the shape of it. And the same thing, make sure that it has, you know, where'd it go? Block all. And then we save that and we can import it. And I didn't actually need to put collision on the box because the plywood boards are actually the collision for the entire container. So I could actually take those out. But I would need, I actually was supposed to make one at the back wall too. So, but that aside, yeah, there's other stuff that I've been doing. I didn't actually open Godot because I'm taking a tutorial from Brackeys on how to make 2D side-scrolling games. Let's see if it's got the wrong name on it, but it's still there. It'll open up in a sec. I can put that in there. It's not a big of a deal. Yeah, Brackeys actually has a really good tutorial on how to, and gives all the assets too. So I've got to modify this and make this a bit more, but getting this put together was actually kind of cool. It's not finished. I don't even think okay, so it's directional buttons. I don't know if you can't hear the sound, but there's actually sound when the coins move. I actually had to do all the not the geometry, but the animations. This glitches out a bit. I think because the tutorial may have been made a year ago, and this is probably on a more modern version of Godot. It looks like I'm having a frame skip there. But it does have some other things in it. The code is interesting, but that's other stuff I've been doing. But video game development. So I do still have some stuff I'm working on. I actually had a list. Where'd the list go? Oh, AI content. I've been messing around with a bunch of AI stuff. The stuff that I'm messing with is actually photorealistic, so I can't show any of that. I don't have it tuned with either, what are they called? I can't remember what it's called, like content or constraints or something. I just started this like last week because I've kind of gone against AI for a long time, but I thought maybe it could help with certain things and definitely help with inspiration. But I'm going to make another video on that, how to start using Comfy UI when I learn more about it. There's Comfy UI. I've got my own LLMs installed. I use Qwen 3 Coder, and I also use Ollama itself. I do a lot of stuff offline. But I talked about Godot. Yeah, I know I've been gone for a little while, but the main thing is that I needed something to do. Because the things I was focusing on are personal, and I can't talk about them too much. Well, actually, one I could probably talk about is actually a language app. I'm not going to show it, but it's learning specific languages. I think I may have been away for some of that stuff. I'll move me over here, and I'll go back over what I just said. It won't take long. My head might have been in the way. But if you couldn't see it, block all is right here. And yeah. That way, I know I'm not in the way. Now I'm just inside the container. This has to be, let's see. This started off as a really small, well actually a bigger project. I was really trying to figure out how to make things in Unreal itself, basically kind of model the assets, which is not actually that hard. There's a lot of interesting things you can do with certain things. I talked about instancing once, but up here in selection mode, you can go from selection mode over into modeling. And since I'm a Blender user by trade, I stick to modeling, and you can create whatever you want. I guess an arrow. Just create it right here. And then you accept. And then we can actually take this. I have that. Show, don't turn off collisions. Okay. Now it doesn't look as weird. And we can start to model it. But this is where I mostly do all my work. Polycut is interesting, plane cut. I've talked about these before in another video, but it's how you do a lot of things in here, whereas opposed to doing them in Blender. Blender is actually more controlling, but the whole thing for this actually looks like it's a desert scene. I never claimed to be a smart man. This is kind of like in the desert. Black sand. Actually, that's not supposed to be there. I've got two of these I was messing around with. But black sand. And there'll be like a red ocean made kind of with blood. I do need to change the HDRI. It's kind of too bright outside. I want to make it darker. And have like I don't know, purple lightning, green lightning, something. But this is kind of, it's what I call my happy place. Although my shipping container house is going to be, you know, buried under the sand, as it would be in real life. Not sure you can even see the texture. It's okay, it's period in Blender. I've been working in Unreal for too long. I thought it was the F key again. Yeah, I really like the setup. Anyway, that's all I kind of have to talk about for now. I don't really know what I'm going to be doing moving forward as far as this. Well, that's pretty fucking cool. It kind of looks like the intro to a James Bond movie. I do have some projects, mostly this, that I'm working on. I do need to build, I want to build the Brachys thing out. I do want to go over AI content creation because the newer models coming out, especially like Z-Image. Z-Image is a really good model because you can work it on 8 gigs of RAM. It's not a very large model. It doesn't take up, and it's photorealistic. You do have to be careful with certain things in it because if you're not careful, you can actually, like here, I can't show a lot of the stuff that's created because I've been popped for it before showing AI content, and they said I had to have a waiver in certain websites because like that looks like a real person. And yeah, even though it's not a real person, but they don't know that. And Z-Image is one that I can do 2D pixel art. I'll show that in the next video. I'll make another video specifically about Comfy AI and what Z-Image can do because it has a trigger word by default called pixel art, and so you can just make pixel art. But that'll be the next one. I've been learning some really interesting things over the past few months on technically a break, but I am bringing back more of the construction, and I'm gonna start building out a 3-dimensional environment to actually play in Unreal Engine. So, and I'm gonna see what I can do with a Godot. Anyway, any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave them below. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.